So what we learned after this pay-per-view is that Cody is an absolute badass. And I know many will say, how could Vince allow this? That wasn't Vince's decision. Cody is just built different. If Vince McMahon came up to him and said, we need you to wrestle 20 matches tonight, pal. Awesome, that's old school. My respect for Cody is rising like a seduced Coco Jumbo. My man had a torn pec and still had one of the greatest matches in his career. And before we talk about WWE Hell in a Cell 2022, our tribe is getting bigger. The Usos are officially virgins. I'm so happy, and moment of silence for those who are not virgins yet. Thank you very much. It's really hard to explain how I feel about this pay-per-view. There's nothing that I really hated. To be fair, I pretty much liked everything. I gotta say though, the pay-per-view doesn't look memorable. Obviously outside of Cody versus Seth Rollins. I just feel like nothing really changed and we didn't get that moment we needed in these matches. Mad respect for Cody though. But before we talk about Cody, let's talk about everything else. So the first match of the night was a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka versus Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. I knew this was going to be a great match going into it, but this really surprised me. Like, this was a quality match. What a great way to kick off the pay-per-view. My biggest issue with this match was that it's really predictable, you know, since this match wasn't even supposed to happen, but it also reminded me how much I actually love triple threat matches. Okay, let's ignore the main event. If we ignore Cody versus Seth Rollins, which had an advantage of being a Hell in a Cell match, this was by far the best match of the night. Women are killing it. To be fair, it's really hard to ruin a triple threat match, but this one was good. Like, all the time, something was happening. And it's really hard to pull off that nowadays, but during this match, I saw some spots where I felt like, okay, I never saw that before, which is pretty huge. I'm not sure how I feel about the finish though. Becky Lynch throws Bianca Belair out of the ring. We saw a manhandle. Bianca comes back and throws Becky Lynch out of the ring and pins Asuka. I'm not sure how I feel about Asuka eating the pin. Like, it's so obvious yet so... I don't know, I wouldn't do that. I think Becky Lynch eating the pin wouldn't hurt Becky at all right now. She's a heel. She's not even the main character anymore. Asuka just came back, and don't get me wrong, she had a great performance, but this was really unnecessary. There's really no reason to hurt Asuka's credibility right now. But yeah, Bianca Belair retains the championship. As expected, this was a great wrestling match. MVP and Omos want nothing to do with Cedric Alexander anymore, which turns out was a big mistake. So then it was time for Omos and MVP versus Bobby Lashley. This was a match I wasn't looking forward to. And it's weird because Omos versus Bobby Lashley, in my opinion, was never bad. I feel like most of the matches were okay. I mean, considering it's Omos, was still pretty fresh in professional wrestling, I thought the matches were okay. And this one, I don't think this one disappointed either. It was more like a moment match in my opinion. It seemed like Omos and MVP were about to win this match, but then we saw Cedric Alexander. So he jumps into the ring, Omos catches him, throws him out, spear from Bobby Lashley, but MVP was the legal man. So we saw the Hurt Lock and MVP taps out. Bobby Lashley takes the W in the most safest way. I mean, I did like Cedric Alexander interfering. I think that was a pretty decent moment, but at the end of the day, this was very safe. You know, Omos didn't get pinned, he didn't tap out, MVP did. Bobby Lashley won, which is not really saying a lot. Then Bobby Lashley took a fan's belt. My man was like, come on man, go, I paid a lot of money. Will he give me the championship back? I don't know, Bobby please. So he's sending a message, I will become the WWE champion again. I don't know about that, Bobby. We only have one now. Or do we? I don't know. Then it was time for Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens, which in my opinion was, I feel like the worst match of the night. It wasn't really bad, but it just feels like if I would watch this match on Raw, I wouldn't remember it. Like, I wouldn't really care. And that's the issue I have with this paper. Like, when you have a match like this, you need a moment. You need something to happen. You need someone to interfere. You need Elias to be exposed. Whatever it may be, it needs to happen because it's really hard to care about this. The story is okay, but it's not a match you would necessarily care about. This needed a stipulation at least. Surprisingly though, Kevin Owens won the match. I think it took 3 stunners or 2. I don't necessarily remember. Professional review, everyone. He calls him a liar and that's it. Like I expected expected a bit more. Then it was time for the Judgment Day versus AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. They jumped straight into the action, and with this match, I have the same problem. The match was fun. I also don't remember the last time we saw a mixed six-person tag match. When was the last time that happened? So I don't have any problems with the booking or the match itself. I think it was really fun, lots of action. Finn Balor was going for his finisher. That ain't gonna happen. Liv Morgan got involved, but the stunt meter for Edge has ended. So he reverses the coup de grace. You got what you got. Spear to Finn Balor, and the Judgment Day wins the match. What's next? Who's joining? Is Finn Balor gonna see the light or darkness? No. Like, so many matches, so few moments. The storylines are just not progressing. And that's the problem I have. It was really hard to care about this pay-per-view in the first place. You needed something major to happen in any of these matches. Cedric says he's going to be a singles competitor. He doesn't need friends anymore and he's gonna focus on himself. He turned babyface basically. Bobby says, okay, proud of you. Don't ever interfere in my matches. Fist bump. I'm really glad that's happening because Cedric Alexander looked like such a loser, you know. His booking was atrocious. So Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin. I have mixed feelings about this one. So okay, the match itself, fine. A really basic no-holds-barred match. It was really hard for me to watch this match just as a viewer. I looked at it, okay, Madcap Moss is being booked like a badass. I appreciate it. But I'm not saying we didn't get a few cool spots. But for me, what made this match into something was the finish. That was absolutely vicious. Madcap Moss is a savage. No more suspenders, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't coming back. Now, I don't necessarily feel that way, but the commentary made it seem like it was a double turn. They said, you're being worse than Happy Corbin. Then it was time for Theory versus Mustafa Ali for the United States Championship. Battle of the worst theme songs. So this was the first match ever since Mustafa Ali came back that made me think, okay, I miss Mustafa Ali. He reminded me how great he truly is in the ring. No BS, no Miz, no special referees, none of that BS. We just watched Mustafa Ali perform. I like that. And while watching this match, I was like, okay, I kinda want Ali to win at this point. But Theory picks up Ali and hits his finisher, which by the way, I can't stand. Like the one he was using before, the RKO cutter, some type of a cutter. Way better. So Theory retains the championship, takes a selfie. Okay, you know, not memorable, fun to watch, and that's the thing about this pay-per-view. You'll forget about it very quickly. And finally, the Hell in a Cell match between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was wearing Dusty's attire, and Cody was wearing a gigantic bruise. This was one of the best Hell in a Cell matches we've seen in recent memory. Seth Rollins is slowly gaining the reputation of being a Hell in a Cell guy. Seth Rollins obviously was targeting Cody's injured spot. Seth put on his jacket, started beating him with the belt. When Seth Rollins picked up the table, the crowd was like, thank you, Rollins. You know something's wrong. I mean, people are just craving for that table because they didn't get one during this whole pay-per-view, and the pay-per-view is supposed to be extreme. We literally got a no-holds-barred match. Rollins was going for the frog splash, but went through the table himself. Then we saw the cowbell. Seth Rollins accepted the challenge, and we saw some pretty cool moments with that as well. The buckle bump looked really good. We saw quite a few tributes to Triple H, you know, a pedigree, a sledgehammer. I really thought Cody was about to lose right here, but the match continues. We even saw Crossroads by Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins tried to hit Cody with a sledgehammer, big boot, Crossroads, another one. He was going for the third one, but released him. He grabbed the sledgehammer, another tribute to Triple H, and wins the match. That was the right call. What a match. Mad respect. This needed to happen. I mean, yes, sure, Seth Rollins lost 3 times. Does it hurt his credibility? I don't think so. I think Cody needs it more. He cannot lose a single match before he faces Roman Reigns. So that was an all-time classic. Great match, great storytelling. Well, it's really weird to say this about an injury, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise. In a way, when it comes to the quality of the match. Like, that made this match so much better. Hopefully it's not a very serious injury, of course. It's gonna be interesting to see who Cody is going to face next, and will we see The Fiend on Raw? Probably not. The Fiend versus Cody would be kinda interesting. I don't know how could anyone lose in this one. But anyway, people, thank you for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The Great One, peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.